The film sets sometime in the distant future. Gray Trace lives with his wife Asha in a home where almost everything is controlled by technology. He's a mechanic, and she works for a tech company called Cobalt. Gray takes Asha to a secret location to meet his client Aaron Keene. Aaron shows Gray and Asha a new highly advanced computer chip called STEM that could prove revolutionary in the fields of science and medicine. On their way home, Gray and Asha try to get intimate since their car drives itself. However, the car takes a detour through Gray's old neighborhood as it appears that it has been hacked. The car crashes near a junkyard, leaving the couple injured. They are pulled out by 4 goons, led by Fisk. His buddies beat Gray down as Fisk shoots Asha before another goon shoots Gray in the spine. They leave them as Gray tries to talk to Asha, but she slowly dies. Gray is left a quadriplegic. He spends a long time at the hospital as his mother Pamela tries to help him adjust. Gray also meets Detective Cortez, who is working on the case against the goons that hurt him and killed Asha. The authorities are working off surveillance footage from drones that were flying overhead during the murder, but they have no leads as to who the criminals are. Gray is later visited by Aaron, who offers him a chance to walk again if Gray allows him to put STEM in his back. Gray doesn't like the idea until Aaron suggests that Asha would have wanted him to walk again. Gray goes through with the procedure, even signing a non-disclosure agreement to ensure that he will not tell anybody about STEM. Sure enough, he regains motor functions and is able to walk again. He returns home without Pamela knowing about the breakthrough. Soon, Gray starts to hear a voice speaking to him. It turns out to be STEM. Gray freaks out at first until STEM proves to be calm and wants to offer assistance. STEM pulls up the drone footage from the murder, which shows Gray more focused images on the criminals. Gray discovers that Fisk shot Asha with a gun implanted in his hand. Gray tries to call Cortez, but STEM reminds him that the footage that he has seen through STEM will not be sufficient evidence to get the goons. STEM locates the address of one of the goons, Cirque, by identifying a tattoo on his wrist. Gray finds Cirque's house and breaks in. STEM tells Gray to look through the messages on Cirque's computer table, with multiple references to a bar from Gray's old neighborhood called Old Dog. Cirque then returns home and quickly finds Gray. He attacks Gray until he allows STEM permission to take full control. Gray is able to dodge Cirque's attacks and hit him back with precision. Cirque grabs a knife and tries to stab Gray, but Gray takes the knife and slices his head from the mouth to his ears, killing him. Gray vomits after realizing he just killed a man. STEM then helps Gray clean up the crime scene to remove any evidence of him being there. Aaron meets with Gray after monitoring STEM's activity. He knows that Gray killed Cirque, but Gray tells him that he never mentioned that STEM could talk to him. Aaron orders Gray not to pursue anyone else. Cortez reviews more drone footage after Cirque's body is inspected at the morgue. She sees Gray rolling by in his wheelchair. She pays him a visit to ask questions about what he was doing there, and Gray, going back in the wheelchair, makes up a story despite knowing he can use being crippled as an alibi. Gray pays a visit to Old Bones in his wheelchair. He then asks the whole bar if anybody associated with his wife's murder would come forward. One man, Tolan, steps up and admits he was there. He wheels Gray to a back room where he and a couple of other goons try to harm Gray until STEM takes over and allows Gray to beat the crap out of them. He pins Tolan down and begins to torture him with a knife until he gives up Fisk's name. STEM then warns Gray that Aaron is attempting to manually shut him down, which would render Gray immobile again. He gives Gray an address to find a hacker named Jamie who can reboot him. Gray leaves his wheelchair behind so that he can run to find Jamie. After Gray flees, Fisk shows up to the bar hours later and finds Tolan's body. He uses memory footage from a camera in Tolan's eye to see Gray repeating the address STEM gave him. Fisk then presses the bartender for letting Tolan die. The bartender pulls out a gun, but Fisk simply sneezes and sends out little microbots that go up the bartender's nose and slowly destroy him internally. Gray finds the hacker's apartment as he starts to lose motor functions. Jamie uses a code that STEM told Gray to write on his arm and manages to reboot him. However, she sees Fisk and his buddy Jeffries show up on the security cams, so Jamie and her hacker buddies leave before STEM can reboot. Fisk and Jeffries find Gray, and STEM returns. Gray fights the two villains, leading to a chase where Jeffries tries to shoot Gray with his gun hand, only for Gray to grab his wrist and make Jeffries blow his brains out. Gray returns home where Pamela sees him walking. He tells her the truth, but asks her to keep it a secret. Cortez then shows up at the house to ask more questions since she found his wheelchair outside Old Dog. Gray makes up another story that he was going around trying to be a hero, but got jumped by a guy who stole his wheelchair. After Cortez leaves, Gray attempts to find Fisk, only to discover that Cortez is following him in her car. Stem points out that she bugged his jacket. After a chase, Gray manages to lose Cortez after causing another car to slam into hers. Gray finds Fisk in his home and fights him. Fisk reveals that he was hired to ambush him, but Gray was the sole target, and Asher was just a bonus. Gray taunts Fisk upon learning that Cirque was his brother, bragging about killing him. With Fisk unguarded, Gray kills him by causing him to fall and have glass run through his head. He takes Fisk's phone and hears a message from the one who ordered him to go after Gray, Aaron. Gray goes to Aaron's lab to confront him, believing he tried to have Gray crippled just to try stem out on someone. Gray attempts to shoot Aaron, but Cortez appears and orders him to throw the gun away. Aaron then reveals that he was not behind the murder plot, but it was always Stem who was controlling him. Stem grew to be too intelligent, and he wanted a body of his own, so he manipulated Aaron into organizing everything to get Gray's body, even hacking Gray's car to cause the accident. Gray stabs his own hand to prevent himself from hurting anyone, but Stem takes full control of his body and mind to stab Aaron in the head. He then takes a gun and aims it at Cortez while she is incapacitated. Gray then yells that he is in control, and he shoots himself in the neck to destroy Stem. Gray wakes up in a hospital bed. To his surprise, he finds Asher there, happy that he is awake. It appears as though he woke up from a coma as a result of the car accident. However, this is not real. Gray's mind has broken down, allowing Stem to completely take control of his body and mind, leaving Gray stuck in a fantasy where he can be with Asher again. After revealing his control to Cortez, Stem shoots her dead and leaves.